Welcome to Are We Gonna Talk About It with Ty
and Taryn. It is a space where we have candid conversations surrounding
faith, marriage,
family, and ministry.
Here we go. Let's go. What's up,
sounds
everybody? That was hard. Like, I feel like we
You about to break my coffee cup.
Break the glass. I'm sorry. What's up, y'all?
Hey, y'all.
How's everybody doing?
What's up?
Man,
You looking at me with my straw in my coffee?
Who does that?
I know. Well, actually, a lot of people do this.
I'm not a big coffee drinker.
I don't do this on the normal, but I'm doing it as we record because the last time I had like lipstick all on the cup. But it just helps to kind of keep things nice and neat, especially for recording.
Is that a thing?
It is a thing. Some people, actually my sister, and she may be watching or listening to this, she actually drinks her coffee with a straw.
Why you gotta put her out?
I don't. No. I mean, she's fine with it. Like she'll be on her
coffee drinker.
post
I don't
and
know.
her
It just
stories.
looks weird. I
know.
didn't know that was a thing.
But it is a thing.
Okay.
I
Right.
guess maybe, I don't know if it has something to do with your teeth. Like, when you're drinking coffee, it's like if you don't have a straw, it's getting right into the front of your teeth, making your teeth darker, in which I need to figure out something about that. But yeah,
Sure.
So I'm just drinking it today because I don't want to get lipstick all over my cup.
How you feeling today? You got your coffee. How you feeling
I'm
today?
feeling good. I'm feeling great. I'm excited about this episode.
I am. Yeah. I'm excited
It's
too.
been a pretty, pretty busy week for us as normal.
Yeah, pretty standard week.
One of the things that's happening right now, of course, is Taylor and dance, and I think for the most part we seem to keep a pretty good grip on our week, but I know most recently sometimes she does not like even like coming from school going straight to dance. That has been interesting.
Yeah, I think so because like she said, our week is really busy.
Yeah.
Kids are pretty active, even though Tyler is not doing anything
He's not
right
doing
now.
it.
But we normally have them both. But for her
Yeah.
specifically, like her Thursdays where she has dance is a long day for her.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. Like if I had her schedule on Thursday, I would be hangry.
Yeah. But that's why I was glad that this past dance class that you said, hey, I'm gonna go early, pick her up from school, give her some time and some space to clear her mind from school to allow her to be able to pretty much rest.
Yeah, because and for those of y'all who don't know, so her typical Thursday, what it looks like is she wakes up at 5:30. Both of them wake up at 5:30 on a typical.
And most
weekday.
of the time they do that by choice.
Yeah,
by
that's
choice.
worth mentioning.
We don't go in their room.
But to their defense, though, they go to sleep at 7 p.m.
Yes, they do.
So they sleep very well. They sleep good.
Get some good sleep.
So they're up at 5:30 in the morning, right? Getting their things together, cleaning up, doing what they need to do in the bathroom, getting breakfast.
Doing what they need to do in the bathroom. For a long.
That's a whole nother situation
topic.
about
just taking their precious time. Hey.
So they're getting the things ready, and then her homework each day is to read for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
so she even reads in the morning,
schedule.
so she doesn't have to read in the afternoon. So she'll read in the morning, get her breakfast, we get her out the door, and then she goes to school. She's at school all day. I go to pick her up around 3:15. Once I pick her up, it's on the way home. She gets home around 3:25, 3:30. Yeah, I mean,
Oh yeah, 3:30.
She only has
3:30. Yep.
She only has about literally 10 minutes, 15 minutes to not just take off her physical clothes and her physical backpack, but also to take off the weight of school, the weight of the morning.
Yeah.
And then she has to turn right back around and go to dance class, which is an hour and a half.
Yeah.
She comes home. It's time to eat.
Well,
it's
she
time
still
to
has
do her
homework. Yeah.
Take a shower and then get in the
Bless her
bed.
heart.
Right.
So I was glad
Thursdays are crazy.
one Thursday we could just really tell. We picked up on it, I think, where we just knew like, okay, she's really not feeling it today. And of course, we're paying for dance class, y'all. And if you know, like, dance class is not cheap. Like,
and I had to catch myself because I was like, well, if you don't want to go to dance class, then we don't have to pay.
We don't have to pay. And I'm just like, okay, but you caught yourself on that.
Because it wasn't
you
that
did.
situation.
Yeah,
it's not that she didn't want to go.
Yeah, so just recognizing like, okay, this is a day where she needs to rest. And so we did tell her like, hey, Taylor, you may not always get to be off or take dance off, but this may be the one time of the one and only time, because we really trying to encourage her to still go, especially because they're now practicing for recital. But I was glad we were able to acknowledge and let her rest that day and not go, and miss that class.
Because I honestly, like, there was a part of me that wanted to push her to go. You know what I mean? Because you want your kids to learn, like, sometimes you have to do things that you don't want to do.
Right.
But then I think it was more so you. I think you saw it more than I did, but seeing that, like, she really she looked exhausted. Mm-hmm. She looked beat up, where she was just like, I can't do this today.
And it was coming out in her behavior. But we're gonna definitely put a pin in that, because that is a conversation that we'll have to do in future podcasts, near future. Absolutely. Just talking about being able to recognize your kids and things. But let's go ahead and get into this episode. Speaking of rest.
Yes, because just like she needed that rest.
Yes.
We got some full-grown adults.
Just need to go take a nap. Go lay down. Go lay down. Please and thank you.
Right.
And I'm one of them.
I put myself in that category as well, because the worst part is when you don't even know you're tired, don't even know you're worn out. And then, like, just one day you just collapse, you fall out, or you just don't have, or you snap on somebody, and they're just like, what's up with you? Need a nap.
You need a nap.
You need a nap. And so we recognized it in her. And so, man, this whole episode is just dedicated to recognizing it in us. Like, yes. We need it too.
Yeah. And so that's one of the things that we have really been intentional. I think we really kind of started this at the beginning of this year, not because it was like a New Year's resolution or anything like that, but that was one of our words, being intentional in certain areas of our life. And that particular area, one of the areas, was rest for us. And so the way I guess it came about, we started already talking about it. I think one time I was having a conversation with you about just feeling exhausted, just needing to have some space to myself. And I think as I was kind of just thinking about that stuff, I started writing down a list of things that fill my cup, like things that I enjoy, things that refresh me, replenish me, all of that. And so I created my list, and then I think I was sharing it with you. I'm like, these are the things that I think I need, you know. But
I'm listening to her, and I'm just like,
you were looking at me kind of like, yes,
I don't fill your cup. I don't complete you.
I didn't get like the vibe, like at the time when I was sharing that with you, I didn't get like that initial support. I think you were just trying to figure out where this was going.
Right, I'm taking it all in because I'm just like, where's this?
Are you trying to throw a hint? Like, are you trying to throw shade? Like, what's up?
I didn't know where it was coming from. But the more that I think the more that I listen, the more that she and I started to talk it out and to put kind of plan of actions, and I don't want to get ahead of us, but put plan of actions in place for us to start making time for the things that fill us up. That's when I started realizing within myself, like, what she's asking for is actually what I need for me too, but I've been afraid to ask for out of guilt.
You're right. And it just so happened that we were already starting to have that conversation, but we ended up blessing someone with this book called Take the Day Off by author Robert Morris. He's an author and a pastor.
Robert Morris.
I'm sorry. But yeah, Robert Morris. Is called Take the Day Off, and we blessed somebody with that book, and they came back telling us about the book
because we had never read it.
And so I was like, we need to go get that book. Like, I've heard of him, and so I felt like, okay, that sounds like that'll be a good book. And so once they came back and told us about it, I was like, okay, we need one of those for us.
Yeah. And let me be deep for a second. We were walking through the store, and Holy Ghost spoke to me and said, get this book.
Get this book.
I picked it up. I said, but Holy Ghost, I've not read this before. And he said, but you need to get it for your friend. I said, but this don't make sense. I don't know what's in here. He's gonna be reading some stuff that's crazy. He said, pick it up anyway and give it to him.
Wow.
So I bought it and I gave it to him. I gave it to him, and he's like, have you read this? I was like, no, I've not read this before, but I felt led to give it to you. I'm being funny, but honestly, like, I mean, it wasn't that deep, but when I saw the book, this guy's face came to mind, and I'm just like, this is weird because I'm not that guy that just runs out to a bookstore and grabs a book and gives it to somebody, especially one that I've not read. I don't do stuff like that, but I did feel like this inner peace that I was just like, this is his book. And so I bought it. I gave it to him. Long story short, like she said, he's like, bro, I needed this. This was right on time.
And then his wife was even like, I started reading the book. We read the book together. She took the book and was like, it's blessing my life too.
So then that got us was just like, okay, are we missing? Like, we need
that.
So she started reading it. I need to jump on it real soon.
But I started telling him about it. Like, look, babe, we gotta.
We've already started implementing.
Yeah.
What's in the book and what's been shared. And sitting down and having these conversations. And so,
do you want to kind of share like some of the main points as far as just overall the overarching theme of that book?
Yeah. So it is essentially. In well, I don't want to go too far back.
Okay.
As a Bible scholar, but but God commands that we rest. Point blank.
Period.
Point simple.
Yes.
Like, it is a command. It is one of the commandments.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so if this is something that he commands, this is something that God himself did after he created everything. Like, he rested, he breathed, you know what I mean?
Yes.
He took a break. How much more do we need it?
Right.
And God doesn't sleep.
No.
God doesn't slumber.
Right.
But he needed
rest.
But then for us, like, created our bodies to literally shut down if we're going too hard. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so how much more do we need it?
I even look at Jesus and his example as he walked the earth and just like, he's still away. Let me get away for a minute. Let me go, and I believe, of course, part of that was to go commune with the Father.
Yeah.
But also I believe part of that was to allow himself to be refreshed and to be able to rest as well. You know, he was doing a mighty work on the earth. And so even him, he needed some rest.
And it's absolutely necessary, because I think that we've been learning that, it's all good and well for you to show up for everybody else, to pour into everybody else, to make everybody else priority. I even bet this. I was thinking about this maybe yesterday. I was thinking, like, if I were to say, hey, top 5, who are your favorite people? I guarantee you wouldn't be one of the people on that list. Top 5 people that you love to spend time with. I guarantee you wouldn't be one of the 5 people on that list. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I start thinking about it for me, like, bro, like, do I like me? Do I like spending time with me? Like, do I need time for me? I make time for everybody else, but I don't prioritize me. So I'll just talk about me. I'll just talk me.
Side note,
we got all sorts of TikTok sounds.
Yes. Sorry. Sometimes you may get that. It just comes out. Y'all love us. Please don't judge us.
So I'll talk about me just for a second. For a long time, I felt guilty for taking time for myself.
Yeah.
I would feel like, man, if I needed to take an overnight trip, I can't do it because Taryn's gonna be left with the kids. I can't steal away for a few hours because I feel like, she might be overwhelmed, or the kids might need something, or, as a father, as a parent, as a man, like, you got to show up. You always got to be there, and you got to be present in the moments and make sacrifices. And it wasn't until, again, earlier this year that we were intentional. We sat down and we was just like, we need this. And I am not going to allow myself, you're not going to allow me, I'm not going to allow you to feel guilty. Right. And I think one of the biggest components was that we both agreed on this
agreement.
So it wasn't like me saying, I need me time, I need me space. I feel like I'm always around you. I'm always around the kids. I need something to do for me. You know what I mean? And have you looking at me crazy or vice versa. But instead we agreed, like, okay, I'm gonna let you get your space, you're gonna let me get my space, and maybe we can talk about, like, kind of the real logistics or the plan of action that
and
we
I
came
think
up with.
that initially when I brought that and proposed that to you, I think you were kind of like, well, how is that going to work? Like, how are we going to implement that into our lives with everything?
Our lives are busy.
Yeah. And so, like, how are we going to pull this together to really make that work where you can literally take the day off, like you rest, and so we had to really look at our schedules. We had to look at, okay, literally, like what day, what happens on this day, Monday through Sunday, Sunday through Saturday, Monday, Friday, Tuesday, Wednesday,
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
But what happens each and every day, and what is the day that you can dedicate to taking completely off, which means no work, no pulling up the laptop and doing any work. If you do touch your laptop, it's just to be creative with whatever you want to be creative with, but no work. Anything that is work, that's not what you're doing on that day.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that Robert Morris talks about is, like, he talks about how everybody always asks him, like, what am I supposed to do on that day? But one of the things that he talks about is you need to do something that refreshes you.
Yeah. And then he also posed the question, what shouldn't you do, or right.
What
shouldn't you do on that day?
Don't ask what should I do on that day, but what shouldn't I do? So what you should not do is anything, just like you said, that is typically work.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, my wife held me accountable with this because on the day that both of us selected a day that we said, hey, on this particular day we are going to rest, and it's not on the same day, obviously, because somebody got to watch.
Somebody got to watch them kids.
But and if you're not married, or if you don't have anybody that lives in the home that can watch the kids,
you're single parent,
you can still come up with creative ideas for you to find a friend who has kids and say, hey, on this day, on this evening, I'll take your kids to give you free space if you don't mind taking mine on this particular day, and you work things out.
Sometimes I think people kind of just like stop at just a thought, because I think in their mind they think like it's overwhelmed to even consider having a day. Even if you work Monday through Friday and you're off on the weekends, you're thinking about cleaning the house, doing laundry, all that, and that is work. That is work.
So that's what I was about to say.
Yeah,
you held me accountable with that, because I think on one of my rest days, I had out my laptop, and you said, she gave me that look.
Y'all can't see it if you're listening to the podcast, but just imagine that side eye.
Imagine what that melanin look looks like. Like, what you doing?
What you doing?
What's going on over here?
What we doing?
You know that look. You know that face. Every man knows that look. I was like, oh, I'm in trouble now. She's like, what are you doing?
What you doing?
I'm thinking like, I'm a grown man. I can do whatever I want to. Like, it's my rest day, so this is what I want to do. So this is what I choose to do. And she's like, no, but what are you doing? And I'm like, well, this ain't work. Like, I'm being creative. Like, I'm creating. Like, I'm going through videos and I'm pulling up elements, and I'm, this is just the creative aspect of my work, but it's not like work. And she's like, yeah, but that's
work.
Right. And so, but it convicted me, because I'm like, but this is still an extension of my work. So it doesn't feel like rest, because I'm looking at the same laptop, the same interface, the same programs that I would be looking at if I were working. And so even with that, on that particular day, I really had to catch myself and say, okay, I need to push away anything that reminds me of work.
Exactly. Because we can mask it like, okay, well, this is just, something it's just a little, and then it's kind of like you start giving into more and more.
I was stepping over dirt in the kitchen. And you know me, don't laugh at me, because she'll get on me sometimes like, but you don't see this? Like, you don't see this dirt? Like, you don't see the dishes? Like, you don't see, I sometimes I don't see it. I got on man goggles sometimes. but
goggles.
This particular day, like, I'm feeling the grains under my feet, and I'm just like, no, I can't take it. I pull out the vacuum, I start vacuuming. She's like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, I'm sorry, I just can't take it. She's like, this is your rest day. But I'm like, but I have to do it. But later I felt a little bit convicted, because I'm just like, the dirt is gonna be there.
Yeah
Ain't going nowhere. Like,
and mind you, I would have done it. I see it too, but he just thought in his mind, well, let me do it.
Could it wait?
Yeah.
And that's been one of my challenges as well, is just like always feeling like there is something that needs to be done. That has been one of my vices. Like, something I tell her sometimes, I just take a deep breath and I'm just like, I feel like I have so much I need to do, and it's just not enough time.
So I think with that, and I think something that you even discover is like, okay, if God is commanding us to rest, to not do that means that we're not trusting him,
That's what that is.
Yeah. It's like we don't trust him enough to make up the difference and to give us the grace, if we take this one day of rest, that he won't help us and bless us in the other. It's just like a tithe, the principle of tithing. You give that 10%.
That's heavy.
And can God even trust you with the 10%? Can he trust you with that one day?
That one day
out the week to rest.
I don't know if you really, really know what you're saying right now, but you're talking real good.
Come on, Lord.
It absolutely is, I believe, a step of or an action of faith by you just resting, because so I see it like this. Now we could tie in the whole Chick-fil-A situation. They work 6 days a week, but they still killing the industry.
They
only working 6 days.
Yeah,
right?
top grossing companies, right? Fast food.
When we take those days of rest, knowing like what I just said, like I feel like I got so much work to do. It's me saying, I feel like even like if I can just be still, I feel like God will still provide.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Or if you don't do that, it's like, God, your grace ain't sufficient for me.
Exactly. And so I need to force it. I need to will it to happen. And this is one of the examples that I believe that God had given me was like, you know, when I used to play basketball, I was the type of player that was like, I don't care if I'm tired. I don't care if I'm exhausted. Coach, do not take me out.
Put me in,
game.
coach.
Right. Especially when I'm in a good rhythm. I mean, it was one time where I'm just like, I'm on fire. I'm hitting, and then he pulls me. And I'm like, bruh, like you breaking up my rhythm. Like, what's going on?
Oh, that's the thing. People don't want their rhythm broken up.
That's it. Oh, we're gonna come back to that. Remind me of rhythm. We're gonna come back to rhythm. Rhythms of rest.
Yes.
And so I always felt like, bro, keep me in the game. I'm trying to break a record. I'm trying to get 30 points. I'm trying to hit 45. I'm trying to go for 50. And I feel like you take me out. But what I didn't understand then, but what I know now that I am a coach, right? What I understand now is that I can't play the entire game, because if I do, I will be fatigued and worn out by the beginning of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
By the time we get to fourth quarter, it's clutch time. Now, instead of me being an asset to my team, I'm a liability.
Ooh.
Because I get my energy when I'm ready to score, and then when it's time to play defense, they like, bro, pick it up. But I don't got nothing. I don't got nothing. But if we can take those 1 minute breaks throughout the game, it adds up. Instead of at the end of the game collapsing with 3 minutes left.
Right.
And now we got to take you to the hospital because you couldn't finish the game. Now you got to take a whole 2 weeks off from school, off from work, off from your family, your kids, because your body done shut down. When you could have just taken those 30-second, that 1 minute break, and throughout the game, you know, just kind of incrementally getting your breaks and rest. And that's what that rhythms of rest is. Like on a regular basis, getting those breaks so that you're always full and you always have something to give. You become more effective.
I want to say something to add to that, because we have our day of rest, but just like you're saying, like even in a day, we might not rest like on our rest day, but we're mindful. Yeah. Because I believe that we're starting to practice that more. Like we're mindful of when we need to, all right, I done worked for a minute. Let me pull away for a couple minutes or a few minutes and regroup and refresh. So even in the day that it's not necessarily your rest day, like still just being intentional.
Ooh. Yeah. So I told you about rhythms of rest. Yes. That goes exactly with that. I was listening to a really good speaker, and I'm sorry, I can't remember his name, but he was talking real good though. But he was sharing about rhythms of rest and what it means to him, and he broke down how in music, how a rhythm is a beat and a pause. A rhythm is a beat and a pause, and if you only have beats and no pause, there's no distinguishing between the beats, so you don't even know what song it is. The Bible talks about that too, about you just making noise. Ooh. Right? So he says that's the rhythm, a beat and a pause. And so I started thinking like, you know, what if I were to make a beat like pooch chap pooch chap pooch chap pooch chap pooch. I can go forever. Yeah. Right? Because there's a pause, right? But what if I do that without taking a breath? Guarantee you, you're gonna pass out, or literally you're gonna go for about 20 seconds and just like. You know what I'm saying? Because the rhythm is the beat and the pause. And so like when you have those rhythms of rest and you insert those pauses, those time for you to
breathe.
Just to breathe.
Take a walk. You know,
take a break.
And it's crazy. A lot of organizations, like even outside of ministry and church and things, like businesses, they are becoming mindful of it because, of course, rest affects mental health. Yeah. And so with that, they're like, look, get away from your laptop. Take a walk. You know, they even allow for my job that I work, my organization I work for, they give us 3 hours out the week for fitness. And so, you know, working out can refresh you as well, or taking a walk, whatever physical activity you need, like that can go along with it.
They give you a mental break because they know that you don't know what that is. Yeah. They know that you don't know how to do that on your own. Because
you will, if not, you'll just be sitting at that laptop and just working. But I know now. Oh, I know. Yeah, I mean, learned some things.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Like, you know, you have people golden. Sometimes who, I'll say this, like sometimes with the church, we'll tell people like, hey, you know, it's okay to take breaks. Yes. It's okay if you need a Sunday to rest. I'm not necessarily talking about, oh, I'm not leaving the house and I'm not coming to church no more. And I'm taking, you know what I mean? But I'm talking about, hey, come sit in the chairs and just eat.
Yeah.
Like just feed on the word as opposed to coming particularly to serve. And what I found out is that sometimes you have different types of people. You have people who are like, nah, I don't need no break. I'm gonna just drive. I'm gonna do what I do. And then they end up collapsing or they end up wearing themselves out and just like, hey, can't do this no more. You have people who are just like, hey, I'm gonna take my break, and then they take too much, right?
Yeah.
Which is what you call lazy.
Where
you're resting
now
when
you
you
just
should be
abusing
working.
it.
Right?
Yeah.
But then you have other people who they are intentional about their rest, right? Outside of church, outside of serving. And so because they are, then when they come to serve, they're already healthy. So it's just like, okay, I'm getting the breaks that I need. Like I have a very good...
And church doesn't feel like a chore either.
It doesn't feel like a chore. So for them, because they're getting the regular breaks, you might have somebody serving for a whole year and a half before they say, hey, pastor, hey, can I take a little break? Because they've established that rhythm at home.
It definitely is like setting up boundaries. And then you have to do it with yourself, and you have to do it also with other people around you, and just making it known like this is a day that I've dedicated. So people try to get on your schedule on that day for work related things. You know, if you choose to go and, you know, like I did for one of my rest days, I went and got pedicures with one of my friends. And so, you know, I was fine with that because that was refreshing to be able to have some one-on-one time and a talk chat. That was still refreshing. It wasn't work, but you know, like if it's work related and people trying to get on your calendar where you know it's going to pull on you in that way, you got to establish some boundaries.
Absolutely. I think those boundaries are absolutely necessary. And I know we were listening to a podcast not too long ago, and you can probably remind me what podcast it was, but where they were sharing that if you have nothing on your calendar, then nothing is something.
Yeah.
Nothing
is something.
Something.
And
so
that's
like,
okay.
you know, on some Saturdays or Sundays that we don't have anything on the calendar, particularly Sunday afternoons, there's not a whole lot of them, but sometimes when we do have a Saturday afternoon open, I'll tell her, hey, don't put nothing on the calendar for Sunday afternoon. We using this Sunday to take just a rest. Yeah. And we need the rest for us, but we also need the rest for our kids, for our family.
Yeah. And teach them even how to rest.
Absolutely. So sometimes if there's nothing there, we'll say, all right, let's leave that as nothing. Another thing that we have implemented is making the time for our children.
Incorporated that, like, so that way we won't feel guilty on our rest days.
Absolutely not. Yeah. And so now we've made a day where they know on Tuesday nights, Tuesday evenings, that's their time. Yeah. So
we call it what do we call it? Where we
family game night or something like
that.
Unplug. Yes, unplug. Yeah. And so we're not allowed to be on our devices. They're not allowed to be on their tablets. No TV. These are board games. These are interactive games. And so we make that time for them so that they also see they're making time for us.
So what do you say to people who, you know, they're like, okay, I hear y'all, you know, y'all are talking about this rest thing, but it doesn't work for me like that. Like, how am I supposed to do that when, especially, you know, if you're a single parent, you know, you got one kid, and I know you gave the example of reaching out to somebody. There's somebody who's in your village who would be understanding, and I feel like will help you out with that. But, you know, for the person who's like, well, that won't work for me. I have too much to do.
I will say this, because you just said it. You have too much.
If you got too much, you got too much.
If you are too busy to take a break, then you are too busy. Yeah. If you are too busy to rest, then you are too busy. Then there's something that you are not prioritizing. And I know that sounds tough. Like, dang, I didn't think you was gonna hit me with that. Like, I thought you was gonna give me some tools. But that is
vital.
That is the truth of the matter. Yeah. If you go through and look at your priorities and what you are making time for, what you are dedicating yourself to, the people that you're saying yes to that don't fill you up, that don't refresh you. I ain't talking about, hey, I'm gonna go spend some time with my bro. I'm gonna go spend some time with my sis to get my nails done. We're gonna talk. We're gonna chop it up. But that fills you up. Yeah. So you don't feel depleted when you get done. I'm talking about the people that are taking your energy. Yeah. You have to look at your priorities and say, okay, how can I reprioritize to make sure that I get what I need? Because one thing that I've learned, that we have learned, is that if I'm no good for me, I'm no good for her. If we are no good for each other, then we're not going to be any good for our kids. If we're not any good for our kids and our household and our family, we're not going to be good for the ministry. Yeah, yeah. Right? And so it's about prioritizing. And so then, you know, naturally, once you start prioritizing, then, all right, but I still got these kids. What am I going to do with them. All right,
reach out.
Yeah,
use a lifeline.
Like you have a village,
babysitter,
you have people
nanny,
that
somebody.
Understand.
Yeah.
I mean, look into different companies that have babysitters that you trust, that you've investigated, done your research. Look at family that you might have in the area, and don't abuse it, right? But use it when you actually need that rest.
Yeah.
Look to some friends who have kids the same age that you can give that exchange. Look into moments where, say if it is a holiday or whatever, like taking that time instead of traveling, instead of just finding something to fill up the space, instead taking that time and that space for you. Because if you are intentional about your rest and about your time for you, you'll find the time in there for it. You make time for what's important.
One of the things that I started doing too, when I know that my rest day is on a Saturday because I work Monday through Friday. But with that, it's like, I also pre-plan. Like if I know, now that I know that Saturday is my day, I plan and I make sure that I have laundry done before or it will be done after my rest day. It will not be done on no Saturday. I will not be cleaning the house on no Saturday. It's on another day. So I already prepare myself mentally for that. And I know for some people, like, you feel like Saturday, I know we've grown up, like Saturday is the cleaning day, but try to plan it for a different day. If you have the finances, hire somebody to do it. Outsource some of that work that you would be doing that's filling up your schedule that you can actually outsource to someone else.
Yeah, outsourcing is another idea, because obviously if you have the resources or the finances for somebody else to be able to do something that would free up your time, it'd be worth it.
I know you even mentioned like washing the cars. Like, I know you do it and you will, but we also talked about like
washing cars and like washing, waxing, vacuuming,
the works,
detailing. You know what I mean? Washing two cars. For me personally, running through both of them, and I ain't talking about no professional, detailing, but doing what I do to make it look good.
Yeah.
It took me about 4.5 hours, and I'm like, I don't have 4.5 hours to dedicate to washing cars on a Saturday. I don't have that kind of time. And so now I have to reevaluate. All right, babe, once we knock out this debt, some of this going to have to go towards detailing
and
these
I agree.
cars.
I said, sure.
Because it frees up time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think what you said was really good about planning, because even if you need to put things on the calendar, sometimes people don't want to put things on the calendar a month out because they feel like, oh, that's too far in advance. I don't know what's going to be happening.
Yeah.
No, put it on the calendar.
Put it on the calendar.
I told one of my guys the other day, I said, yeah, we need to catch up. He said, well, we don't have time until, March, which at the time it was like the first week in February. And I'm just like, I know that's far out, but yeah, well, if we need to plan a month out, let's plan a month out, because a month will be here before you know it. And we've already had it there. I've not put anything else in that slot. Nothing else is taking up that time. Just like you said, on days that you have planned for, your rest day, somebody calls, hey, can you do this? Can you do that? Can you do this? Can we do that?
Nope.
Absolutely. That 2-letter word is very powerful.
It's a sentence. It's
and that will
sentence.
That a lot of times will determine where your time and energy goes.
Yeah.
Based on if you're allowed to, or if you can say no.
Man, this has been good.
It's been really good. I mean, this could probably go for a good 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, just talking about this and what we've implemented.
Yeah. It's life changing.
Yeah, but I'm hoping that, everything, a lot of what we shared, was helpful. At least people start to implement it, because I will say that this has been life changing.
Yeah, y'all please let us know, like, if what you've heard today has been a blessing to you, like if you're listening in, drop some comments if you're watching this on YouTube. Definitely shout us out some kind of way on our IG. Just hit us up and let us know. We would love to hear from you to see what you think about this perspective of rest.
Absolutely.
And if you're already doing it, or if you're planning to, based off what you heard today, to start implementing. And the thing is, just start. Like, don't try to look at the big picture of taking a day. Let's just start with 30 minutes in the day. Let's start there. Of course, the goal would be to have a full day where you just do, you do what refreshes you. But if you're one of those people who struggle with that, at least take a baby step towards it.
Right.
Have something in mind, and then don't stop there, because I think once you start, you will realize the reward of rest.
Yeah. And I'll say too, I want to hear from some of the guys, man, because I know for me personally, I was like, all right, like your day of rest, like the things that fill you up is easy. Like you want to read a book, you want to go to Starbucks, you want to get your nails done, like you want to get your hair done, like you want to be pampered. Like that's easy. Like what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
And then when you start thinking about it, it's like, bro, like I'm really simple. I'm not as complicated as I think. Like if I go out and play basketball, I think I feel like my body might be sore after I get
You're
done.
gonna need some extra rest after that.
but I feel
but that refreshes you.
It refreshes me.
Yeah.
If and I can say this because I know that I'm not a lazy man, and my wife knows it too.
Yes,
I used to feel guilty, and I'm not gonna keep talking. I used to feel guilty about sitting on the sofa and kicking my feet up. Like, bro, she probably looking at me like, why?
Look, he don't care no more.
Ain't this something you're supposed to be doing?
He get over in that corner.
Now, you're right. But now she know, like, I think if she ever sees me with my feet up and just relaxing, I'll be the one to try to give a disclaimer like, hey, I'm just taking a little break. But she'll be like, no,
babe.
You good. You all right. Like, take the time that you need. And I think that's what happens, when you're pouring yourself out and when you're on one accord with this. It's just like, hey, I know how much you pour out. You need this. I know she know how much I pour out. I need this. And so when I see her take the breaks, I'm cheering her on like, shoot, go do it. I'll go get the things that she likes and I'll be like, here, take it. Go ahead, have fun. We ain't gonna talk about how we fight over our kids' Nintendo Switch.
I know.
We ain't gonna, that'll be a whole nother.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next time, I guess. Oh man, thank you all so much for listening. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, definitely please rate and subscribe to it if you have not already. Of course, send us a message on IG. The handles are in our show notes, as well as on YouTube. We want to hear from you, and if this has blessed you, like, please share it with someone else, someone that you know who could benefit from this topic today.
Absolutely.
So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
And we will see you all in the next episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Let's go.
Hey.